So I didn't expect to be making this video today, but yesterday we got the season 1 outro cinematic, in other words, the ending of season 1 for Black Ops 6, and it introduced a new character and explained what happened at the end of season 1. If you want to see my breakdown of that and explaining everything up until that point, check out the video linked down in the description. But today we got another new trailer, a cinematic trailer for season 2, which is a lot. This one has a lot hidden into it that I'm going to have to point out and explain to you guys, but on top of that, it's just a really amazing cinematic, and I love that they are continuing the story. And you may not be realizing this, you may be thinking this is a brand new story, but I truly do believe that this cinematic is starting to tie the Black Ops 6 campaign in with the post-seasonal story in a really cool way, one that you probably don't even realize what's going on here and needs a little bit of explanation. But before we get to that, let's first take a look at the trailer as a whole, and then I'll explain to you what's going on.
To a new Avalon. Cheap syndicate bastards. That's all we're worth?
Sevati, you should know better. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide.
So this trailer starts out in a French syndicate penthouse on the 12th of December 1991, which is 5 days after the events of season 1. Now, just as a quick refresher, what happened at the beginning of season 1, our rogue Black Ops agents, specifically Sevati Duma and Troy Marshall, are low on allies. So they make a plan to get more allies, specifically the French syndicate, by crushing the Lutazzi family. They do this by essentially destroying all of their wealth, creating distractions, that kind of thing, and they end up succeeding. So at the beginning of season 2, they are celebrating with their newfound friends, the French syndicate. However, at this point, the Lutazzi family puts out $1 million bounty on each member of the rogue Black Ops agents, and immediately the French syndicate turns on them for the money. However, before they are able to kill Sevati Duma, someone else interrupts them. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Who is this mysterious character? Well, there's even more to this than originally meets the eye, because of a statement that this character says specifically and directly to Sevati Duma. Basically, this character, by the name of Nocturn, comes in and eliminates all of the French syndicate, and as Sevati Duma runs away, he gets closer and then says this.
Sevati, you should know better.
Now that statement is incredibly important because this tells us that this character by the name of Nocturne previously knows Sevati Duma. The question is how, and this also tells us who this could potentially be as well. So clearly Nocturne is an assassin, and clearly he is not working with the French syndicate, as he just pretty much murdered a good chunk of the French syndicate. Now, another option is he's a member of Pantheon, and we're going to dive a little deeper into this one because when we start to see him within the trailer for season 2, we see him alongside Jackson Kane, a known member of Pantheon and a known person who is within the CIA. So it could lead us to believe that maybe Nocturne is an assassin for Pantheon. Now, while we're talking about Pantheon, let's talk about what's going on with them right now, because I see a lot of questions about the Crimson one and why they're not just labeled Pantheon. Well, from what I have seen here, what it looks like is that all people in Crimson Ones are members of the Crimson One, but not all Crimson One members are a part of Pantheon. So you have a character like Jackson Kane, who is a part of both, but not all of these characters are in that inner circle that is Pantheon. Now, the other thing that we learned from the beginning of season 1 is this.
The Pantheons infiltrated Avalon's underworld. They're after the global crime networks.
So Pantheon has now infiltrated the global crime network, which includes the Lutazzi family, but there's also one other thing that it includes, and it's all about Sevati Duma's backstory. So if we go back into the campaign, let's hear where she originally came from.
Years ago, I was involved with someone. His name was Pascal, another member of the guild. I had never met anyone like him. Someone who didn't take me at face value. He was convinced I wasn't a killer at heart, that I cared too much. And I believed him. I told guild leadership that I no longer wanted that life. They confided in me. They knew that Pascal was an operative from a rival family. He had infiltrated the guild to sow discord, take our secrets. They had the evidence. So they had me orchestrate his assassination. The most difficult thing I've ever done.
So Sev worked for essentially a crime family known as the Guild, and she had someone inside there by the name of Pascal, who was her lover, but also was inside as well. Well, turns out the Guild didn't like what Pascal was doing, so they tricked Sevati Duma into killing her partner. However, what ended up happening is it was all a setup. Pascal didn't go rogue whatsoever, and she now hates the Guild, therefore the Guild hates her, so they're going after each other. So it would make sense for Nocturne to actually be a part of the Guild, and we know that the Guild is probably working with the Pantheon, so in other words, they're all tied together. So then we get into the next section of the cinematic where we go through the various different maps. We can see this is Nocturne talking to Sev, saying things like, "I see you, Sev, where are you gonna hide?" And for the first couple maps that we go through, we see very similar things. It says, "Lead me to the rest." In other words, they want Sev to lead them to the rest of the Rogue Black Ops agents. One here is ally hidden in the open. Not sure what that one's alluding to, but drive you deeper into your hole, I'll be waiting. So all of these are very, very similar. However, and then on dealership, we see something change because the next thing that pops up says Hunter becomes the hunted, as well as weapons and gear. In other words, Sev is turning the tables on Nocturne. But the question is how? Well, things switch when we go to the next map, which is called Bullet, which takes place on a bullet train. In the top left-hand corner, it says, "End the bounty by killing the Lutazzi godmother." Two birds with one stone. In other words, Sev is going to kill the leader of the Lutazzi family, therefore stopping the bounty and causing an end to this problem. The Lutazzis will never expect it, but then the interesting thing is we get a message from Nocturne. We know this because it's in purple. It says, "You can have the godmother, but I will take you, dead or alive." What this tells us is that Nocturne is not working with the Lutazzis because he doesn't care whether or not the godmother dies. Therefore, what we have left is the Guild or Pantheon, or technically both. Now, even in that season 2 blog post, things got weird because essentially the entire bio that they normally give out for the new operator was completely redacted. We don't know anything about Nocturne. So let's extrapolate a little bit. The name Nocturne in and of itself is based around essentially a romantic ballad of the night. In other words, something to do with romance. And the Guild and Pantheon. Do you remember what Sev said?
Years ago, I was involved with someone. His name was Pascal, another member of the Guild. I had never met anyone like him. Someone who didn't take me at face value. He was convinced I wasn't a killer at heart, that I cared too much. And I believed him. He had infiltrated the Guild to sow discord, take our secrets. They had the evidence. so they had me orchestrate his assassination.
But what if the guild pulled another fast one over on Sev? What if they actually tricked her and Pascal never died, but they used this evidence to switch Pascal, to turn him into an assassin, to turn him on Sevati Duma? Now, I don't know if that is 100% the case, but what I think we can clearly say is that Nocturne is indeed an assassin with either Pantheon or the Guild or both. And moving forward, this story between Nocturne and Sev is going to get much, much deeper.